Chris kind of our Ticor Tech Farm tool. And like I said, as we move forward with it, it's kind of interesting just how deep you can go with this stuff. And especially now people are getting back to basics in their farming efforts. But just because we're getting back to basics doesn't mean that we don't need to be smart about how we're contacting our database and how we're marketing to them. So the old school way is, right, you guys would contact your title company, you would contact me and say, hey, Crystal, I want to list in Linwood people who have, not sold in the last 4 years, who have X amount of equity, whatever it is, right? We would get that. And then I would send you a CSV file. And 9 times out of 10, you guys would do that first mailing. You'd spend $500 on it. And then you'd maybe get something, or you get another deal, and then you kind of leave it. And then 8 months later, you'd look at it again and want to kind of get into it because you had some time to spend on this, which made sense, right? So marketing that way never was super effective. And the thing is, you guys would have to pull a list from me every time, right? Because that list was not fresh anymore. You had new owners, you had new people that had taken, possession of properties. So the way this works now, let me see if I can't just share my screen. Let me get all my stuff off of here. Sorry, I'll get all the rest of this out of here. There we go. Can you guys see the tech farm now?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. So when you guys go into this, this is what it's going to look like. It's going to look like this Ticor Tech Farm. You'll go in and you'll just register. I talked to Chris about this yesterday. You just go in, it's super easy. There's a little code. I gave it to Chris. I'll shoot it to you guys and you'll just register. I ask most people too, just to use an email address that you'll remember. If you ever forget your password, you click there and you can get back in. So no worries. So this is just kind of my my tester site. So I can kind of manipulate a lot of data in here that, so when you guys log in, it's going to just kind of be blank until you guys ask me for a list, right? So when you come in here, none of this will be on here. You guys will see nothing. But when I come in here, so say you said, so say Chris said, hey, Crystal, we want to create a list. We went over this a little bit day before yesterday. So if Chris said, hey, I wanted to create a list, we could go in and choose that list, or let me get down here. One of the other ways that we could do it is we could actually create a farm. So I kind of shared this with Chris too, because there's one of two ways you can do this. You can create the farm. It will always default to California because that's where this was created. He mentioned that he had some markets in Linwood that he was kind of interested in. This works kind of a lot like you guys' MLS. You guys can draw those, you guys can draw your little,
Lines.
yeah, sorry, got your lines there. Reset that polygon, sorry. But we can just kind of, take it here. And I also mentioned to Chris that you want to go a little bit bigger if you can. So it'll actually calculate the amount of properties are in here. So this is great. So this one has 2,265 properties. So say we went through this and you guys said, this is a great one. This is actually the area that I want to farm. We would just hit continue, easy enough. And then when it goes to this, so this is where it gets a little interesting. If you guys are looking for just deselect, right, your land use code, most people want all residential properties, but very few want land, right? If you have a developer that's looking, something like that, that's something that you guys could, if you have a developer or something like that, or if you've got an investor who's only looking for 2 to 4 or only condos. But we'll take the land off of there just for giggles. And then again, if you were specifically say we're looking for listings, this is a great opportunity. But what if you guys are looking for a specific property for your buyers? You guys could do number of bathrooms, number of bedrooms, and again, none of these are listed. So this is all just helping you define that territory specifically. And you could do owner occupied. I mean, anything that you guys want to do on here, you can do. So we'll just get count 1,000. Yeah. So it has 2,050. We'll send it to the farm manager. Oh, Chris. F1.
And that's something that you upload once we send it to the farm manager, right?
So this actually you can do yourself.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just sharing for you guys. So you would actually have to do a buy credit. So in this particular thing, it would cost you $2.20 or $2.32, I think is the total for this. It doesn't matter the number of records. It could be 2,000 or 20. That's why I always say go a little bit bigger because we're gonna dissect these records here in a minute. You guys are able to buy credits through here and and purchase this list. And I think you have to do it at $20 intervals. So it'll just deduct from the $20.
Okay.
However, I can do that for you. So if you guys go, hey, I know my farm, or I already have a farm, or here's specifically what I want, beautiful, we'll dial that in for you, and I can actually upload something to you. So then when you log in, you get dialed in, this will be sitting here for you. If you don't create the farm and you have me do it, my customer service department, we will import it in here for you. So I just wanted to show you guys that you could kind of that you could create that farm. But
Okay.
if you want a specific list, email me, I will get it. I will put it in here. And again, it's $2.32. It will live here forever. So no matter if I quit, if Ticor goes defunct, if you guys leave your company, this will still be, you guys can still access this. The person who owns this is New Homepage LLC. A guy named Javier created this product. So this lives outside of Ticor. So no matter what you guys are doing, you guys can participate in this program. So what I kind of shared with Chris too, it was interesting, is that it will actually grade your farm. And you can see there's kind of some interesting ones in here. There's D's, there's A's, there's B's, and it'll basically just tell you, is this farm as a whole something that is a viable area for you to be, looking into? And an A or a B are generally great. They use a couple of different predictive analytics. They don't tell us, I think there's 12 to 15. I can't remember how many markers they use now, but it's not just turn ratio. There's potential for investors. They don't give us their secret sauce, but it's kind of interesting. So the one that we looked at with Chris earlier only had 820. I'm going to go with this one. Like I said, I encourage people to go a little bit bigger, because we're going to break down this information. So once you have your list in here, you'll see nothing below Chris F1. It'll just be your little list in here. Again, you can upload as many as you want. So if you wanted one in Monroe, one in Ravenna, one in Ballard, it doesn't matter. We'll just name those farms for you, and you can manipulate the data. So when we go into here, it gives you kind of a breakdown, your average sales price, your owner occupancy, or your owner occupied. And then this is actually updated, you guys, every 2 weeks. So every 2 weeks, the new owners, the new buyers, everybody's in here. So if you guys forget to attend to your list and say you guys want to revamp it in 6 months, you don't have to call me and get a new list. This list is fresh every time. It's a living farm. So of our 2050, there's a couple of different things. So we're going to go over here to the left. The complete farm is here. So if you said, hey, this is my list, this is all I want to do, we can go over and find this little guy right here. It's a little, again, a tech guy created this, so it's not, it should like be a huge, button somewhere, but it's not. It's this little guy. And you guys can just download that to CSV, and that will actually take you can actually use that to manipulate the data however you guys want to. But you can print labels. You can send to a customer service. You can email. There's a million things you can do in here, but most people are looking for this download CSV. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So where it gets really exciting, so that's your generic farm. That's what we would have done with you before. Here's your farm. What we're really looking at now is, I kind of showed this with Chris, which was great. Within these records, you're looking for listings right now. Most people, buyers are listings, right? We'll look for either right now, but listings are still driving the market because our inventory is low. So we look at those listings. So you're going to click on the left-hand side and you're going to click target farm. That is then going to pull up your list. There we go. So out of your 2050, sorry, just hit it again. There we go. Out of your 2050, you actually have 180 records that are most likely to list in the next 12 months. Now, again, they don't give us the every predictive analytic they use, but they do some pretty specific data mining. Down to they have thousands of employees. This New Homepage LLC has thousands of employees, and they will even go in and if somebody's made a Facebook post, that says like move from engaged to married, or their hashtag baby bump, there's some life events that have taken place that they will then kind of put them on this list that are potential for listing and moving. So the difference is, instead of moving or mailing to your 2050 records, you're now just targeting these 180. When we looked at the list that was only 800 records, I think there was 75 people that were on that target list. Sometimes those lists are as small as 10 or 12. What's great about that, though, if you're going to spend your marketing dollars instead of spending, again, $2,000 a month, if you were going to do the traditional mailing, maybe you spend 180, or maybe you do this every other month to these particular people, so you're just spending half of that, $90 a month on a traditional kind of farm piece. That's your target farm. Other one is There might be flippers in here. So every one of these has a different market, right? So an out of state owner is kind of interesting. You would not email to there are 38 people in this farm. So if you're an out of state owner, say you're not familiar with what's going on in Washington, and especially if you guys are marketing in King County, our city council in Seattle, it erects a eviction moratorium starting in, what is it, October, November of this year through March every year. So if you're an out-of-state owner and you're not super familiar with our rules and regulations here in Washington State, or if you have suffered through some potential, COVID backlash for non-payment, these might be people that you want to talk to. These are people that are not living in our state, that still have rental properties, that may be looking to liquidate. And I will tell you, they 100% have equity. There's nobody in here that has a negative equity in their property. So another thing to think about if you're going to market to that kind of out of state. Absentee is going to be the same thing. So instead of, you've got 378 records within here of people that are renting in this neighborhood. So if you're looking for those buyers, again, we always talk about that. You buy the price, you date the rate, right? And so rates are 5.75 in there. I mean, they're still historically pretty good. But what we do know for all these people that are renting at this site address is that their rents will continue to rise. Their mortgage rates, we're going to be okay with. They're going to stabilize at some point when they purchase. But living here in Linwood or living in Seattle specifically, some of those neighborhoods, those rents have gone up exponentially and will continue to rise as taxes go up, as other expenses go up. So that's something to think about if you're looking for your buyers. And again, this message is just for 378 people versus you're able to basically take this huge list and craft very specific messages depending on who these people are. You've got new homeowner. I mean, again, this would be effective if you had a smaller farm, say you have 5 or 6 farms in here and you've got one and it's your neighborhood, like these are your people. I live up on Camino Island. And so I might put Camino in here, a certain little, Livingston Bay, certain area. And then I might market to them and I might go to the new homeowners and just go, hey, I'm your local neighborhood realtor. You can do this by date. So the people who purchase, these are people who purchased in the last 2 years. But again, these are also people who in the last 2 years, you guys, how much money old Robert Payette is sitting on right now?
Right.
You know what I mean? Robert's got a lot of equity in his property. Okay. Yeah. So we want to go out there and have that conversation with Robert, or at least let him know that we're the neighborhood experts. And if you need a referral source for a plumber or a, whatever it is, that's, you can use this obviously.
Yeah. I love that. That's bringing value.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a nice way to do a little pop by too in the summer months. And as we're still nice out, you can go, hey, I know you just bought a couple of years ago. How is the neighborhood going? Stephen, how are you liking it? I love it here. Have you checked out our latest restaurant? Have you checked out the newest or the new barber that came to town? And it is bringing value and you're connecting. That's your new home. And then your long-term owners, I think this one's interesting too, because you've got people that have lived there. I mean, these are people I'd want to do an interview if I was doing a, maybe a blog or something. I might go, I'd love to talk to somebody who's owned their home. We saw, this is the same neighborhood at Overlap. Remember Gillen Snook?
He's back.
Yeah.
1969. And I liked what you said on that one. It was like, hey, did you realize that you are the longest standing homeowner in this neighborhood? I just thought that was so cool. I wanted to meet you and see how you like the neighborhood. What did you feel like was changing over this last,
oh my gosh,
how long is that?
Yeah, right.
42, 52 years.
52 years. Cool. And think about this too. You've got somebody who might be a little bit older, or even if it's maybe Gillen has now passed that property down to somebody, but it's not. It has been because maybe he's got grandkids or kids that are living there now. But we can have that conversation. Oh, I'm so sorry. Your father has passed. Whatever it is. But yeah, asking to interview that person. What person who's a little bit older would not want to invite somebody in for a cup of coffee to have a conversation about what the neighborhood looked like? He'll tell you, Chris, it's exactly right. My husband lived in Stanwood, for almost 50 years. And when they closed the Dairy Queen, he almost had a, coronary, but he had stories about, I remember getting the peanut butter parfait and blah, blah, blah. They want to share the history of where they live. So some of this is a great conversation piece. There's a lot of people that have lived in this neighborhood, so you could just go back to just the oldest. You can sort by date. You don't want the people that have maybe or you can look at those people that, maybe they bought in 07, having that conversation, the people that have bought at the height of the market, when you want to have that conversation with them. What are you guys feeling about the market right now? You guys are sitting on a lot of equity. You wrote it out. What did that look like? So lots of good opportunity here for sure. The other one that we were talking about, potential flippers. I'll see if there's anybody in here. These are people that have no, nothing. In some markets, and you guys will probably see this a little bit more if we venture into King County lists, it's a little bit more prevalent than Snohomish County lists, but potential flippers are people that have actually purchased and then listed within a 90-day window. So meaning that they've done some repairs to the property. But some of my clients have had some luck with this, again, in more of the King County area, because there are people that are doing flips, or a couple of years ago, they could flip that property, get their license, and put it on the market themselves, and it kind of sold itself. But now, that's not really the case. And if they've taken a hard money loan out to do that flip, and they've just maybe it's a husband-wife team, and maybe the husband or the wife got licensed in order to ensure, like to save some money on the listing side of it, right? Great.
Yeah.
They don't have the skills now that they need. You need a solid realtor to represent you to sell that property, especially buyers are so savvy right now, and they're looking, you just bought this thing, 3 months ago, and you bought it for $950. Why are you selling it for 1.4? So you have to be able to, as an agent, be able to have that conversation. So the flippers can be great on there too. And then the other one we were talking about, again, we're dealing in a little bit, but it's potential investment. So these are properties that are generally, and there's 246 in here. And so these are properties that they've done some Google Earth looking on these, and they are a little bit, maybe they have a state of disarray. I was telling Chris that maybe they have a tarp, or maybe that nice toilet in the front seat or the front yard, or, just some not ideal.
7 beat down cars in the driveway. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
I think it's fascinating. They use Google Earth to basically bird's eye view judge these properties, because it makes sense. Like if taking care of that exterior, I mean, this is potentially, become overwhelming for you.
It has become. And then look at these. I mean, you look at some of these states too. These people, look, if you bought in 07 or heck, 06, yeah, you're sitting on some, if you're not improvements to your property and you were barely hanging on through 09, 10, 11, and then just kind of got out of it, who knows what the state of that property is? Maybe they hung on for years through there, managed to keep the property, but not do the work that needed to, and if they bought it in 06 for 240, what are they going to owe, 138 or something on it right now, depending on their interest rate and if they get anything else out. But they could be in a position, they're thinking about letting it go, or they don't know that there's an opportunity. These are all opportunities. So again, another, again, if you've got buyers that are looking and they have to be in a certain school district, these are the ones that I would be maybe looking at for them, right? Because you've got people that have to be in an area. They don't mind doing a little, what is the loan that's the rehab loan?
Yeah. Or construction loan.
Yeah, the construction. So those opportunities are all out there as well, because you got equity on the property. So things to think about.
I love it.
And then, yeah, absolutely. And one of the other things that they do is they actually remove real estate. Anybody who is a licensed real estate agent's property will not show up in any of these lists.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys won't be marketing to your competitors, which is always good.
It's always the best one to run into when you're like, oh, you're licensed. Okay. Yeah.
Might light a fire under their ass. It's like, oh, I better get out there. This guy's
yeah.
That's right.
I better step up my game.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when somebody else is playing with the toy you didn't want to play with, and you're like, wait a minute, I wanted that.
Want that.
Yeah.
I wanted that toy.
Yeah.
That's right. So that's a huge, just kind of basic overview. I'll take myself off sharing, but I'm going to show you guys one more thing. When you get into this, and this is, again, you can't hurt anything, so you can click on anything you want. You can't hurt it. When you go through this too, You guys, this is not ideal for an iPad or a mobile device. Don't try and do this on your phone. It'll drive you nutty. This is really, you need to have a Mac or a laptop, something, just because the data is so robust. So don't drive yourself nuts with that. But it really does break down that use code, mailing address. I mean, gosh, the APN, the first and last. I mean, look at this, you guys. Square foot, assessed value, land value, percent improvement.
Years in the property.
Yeah, years in property. AVM, again, yes, LTV,
Loan
rate,
amount due.
equity.
Loan amount.
Yeah.
Due, that's cool. Yeah.
How, right?
So
how
really,
good
you
that is.
could put together a seller net proceeds based
That's
off
right.
that before you even get there. Like, hey, did you realize you can walk with
Look at this guy.
580,000?
Look at this guy, 898.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
It's like,
wow, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and look at also his rate is 5.79. So maybe did he just refi that amount, or has he been sitting on it for that long? That's interesting too, right?
That
Look
is-
at
Looks
these
like he did
rates.
it a while
You
ago.
guys- It must have been a while ago.
Yeah.
Like, look at,
Why
I mean,
didn't
when
he
people say,
refinance?
well,
Yeah.
yes, when people say how
was
there are no
free.
refinances, yes, look at this. This guy is sitting at 6.69.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
loan amount.
You guys
Sorry,
totally
I'm
missed
sorry.
out on refi.
Well, not this guy, but honestly, he could have done a cash out refi, and for 3% or 2.5%, it's free money if you ever needed it, or a home ec. But
Wow.
Right?
yeah, you've got people that are sitting in the sixes. People always say, well, how are you guys doing so many refis? I'm like, because you got people at 6 and, or, a point higher than what we've got now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's there's so much data in here. It's totally, it's robust.
Really awesome.
I'll take myself off sharing, and I'm gonna.
Yeah. And then Crystal, you were saying the absentee, that's absentee owners. So it's assumed that those are all renters, right?
That's what we're assuming. Yeah, exactly.
okay,
So you can
gotcha.
actually, that absentee list, you can mark it to two different things. You can go to the site address, which is going to be your renters. You go, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Renter, rents are going up. Why don't you get into a mortgage? We've got great programs, et cetera, et cetera. And then, but then you could still email the actual owners at their mailing address and go, hey, are you sick of being a landlord? Have you had late tenants, et cetera, right? So it's one list with two different messages. And we used to just not be that effective with those messaging. You can do anything with this. And you guys, there's also an app, Ticor Tech Farm app, that will, you can actually, you can do a walking farm. So as you're walking into, say you have your little list, it's your local neighborhood list. It's your, you live in Linwood, you have 58 houses in there. That's just going to be your people that you go talk to. You can go in and actually make notes into those, like through there. And then you can actually pull through Ticor Tech Farm. Like, so we can go into that next. If you guys want to do a walking farm, I can come into you guys' office and kind of walk you through some of those processes too. But I would encourage all of you guys, like I said, it's $2. You guys get registered. I'll email you out the links. Get registered at ticortechfarm.com. That's really what it is. And then email me and ask me what kind of list. Just tell me a list you want. You can pull any list, because you can see it doesn't matter if we qualify it, because you guys are going to be able to qualify it however you want. So you guys could say, give me 2,000 surrounding this address, give me your address, and we can put that in there. And then you guys get to stalk your neighborhood and see what's going on and who's been living there the longest. And I did, by the way, Chris, after we talked about that, I did put in my neighborhood, who's like, so my long-term owners. And it happens to be a neighbor of mine, like 2 doors down, is somebody who's lived in my neighborhood the very longest. Since the
Cool.
50s. Yeah,
That's awesome.
totally insane.
Wow.
Right. So like, way to go. Like, right. Like, you guys have lived here since what, the 50s? I mean, he's like 85, but it's, it's an interesting thing for sure.
I love it.
And if you guys come in, you guys can't hurt the data. You can go in there and do anything you want with it. The only other thing is there are some paid opportunities through there. And we talked about that. You can get email addresses and phone numbers. I would only recommend that if you guys want to do phone numbers, talk to me about it directly. We can get it, and you guys can auto dial through. We can get you a system. There's a cost per phone number. But the email addresses, as I spoke with Chris, it's a little challenging because I think we all do the same thing. If we give out, the email address is valid, but it's not the good email address, right? My iCloud is the address that I use for like my mortgage stuff, my whatever. But my Yahoo is the one if I want some discount on the Buffalo
My
Wild Wings.
weirdly named username, a Yahoo account. Yes, that's the one I give to all of the. Zoomies, sure. Yeah, it's upchuckcpf at Yahoo. That's what you get. And
That's right. I want the discount. I want the 20% off, but I do not
Right.
want your discount.
but yeah.
Of course, we get some creative ones, coming into us too.
So, yes.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Although
Well,
oddly, once in a blue moon, those creative ones end up being valid ones, and you're like, huh,
right.
stuck with that, did
I
you?
never would have guessed.
And for the numbers part, Crystal, do you guys use like a Red X or what's the service?
So it's not. They actually, the New Homepage LLC, this guy, Javier, who has created this system, I mean, he's been in the tech industry for, I don't know, his entire life. So he was the youngest, like there's a gaming championship. I think what do they call it? It's like Death Star or something. It's some huge national gaming championship. He was simultaneously the youngest in the 80s to actually win this like 4-day championship. And he just won last year as well. So he's like the oldest and the youngest person to have won this crazy gaming tech. This is back when like Atari was the thing, right? So
Right.
this guy is like the tech voodoo. So they don't use Red X. They skip trace. And so how they find out, he's like, you guys don't want to know, and I'm not going to share. And we'll just, you don't want to see how the sausage is made. But it's, yes. And I will tell you, a couple of years ago, it was a challenge to use this system because you would have to scrub against the do not disturb, and you might still, but I think he said in the next 6-8 weeks, that's not going to be a case. So you guys don't even have to run these numbers against the do not disturb list. So that's
Cool.
helpful. You guys not having to do that next step. And same thing, you guys can actually, if you do want to do an email campaign, I will say the other thing on this that is interesting is that you can delineate any information you want from here, but with the Facebook ads, you can target, it's insane. You can go deep dive on people. I can literally find, Josiah has a cat. So we could find cat, like animal lovers who live in Linwood, who also are knitting enthusiasts. Don't know if you're a knitter, Josiah, we'll have to, but whatever it is, or it's like, Xbox enthusiasts, plus they love, cage match sport. It's insane what they can find.
Wow.
And he has thousands of employees. He hosts over 180,000 websites, his company does.
Oh my
so
God.
For different, the guy is
And that's where all the analytics come from, right? Because I mean, yeah, you were saying something like went from in a relationship to it's complicated.
Yeah.
Like you zero in on that because like literally that could mean you're making a move, right?
One way or the other, you're making a move, right? Like you're probably not staying together. So, but the other one that was interesting, so they'll do things like giveaways. So his company spends, I don't know, he said something like 100 and something thousand a month on marketing to generate this data, right? And so one of the things he'll do, he lives in LA, so he'll give away Dodgers tickets. And he'll just do a giveaway, like, hey, you want to do, like a Facebook, whatever. And they'll go, yeah, I want the Dodgers ticket. Well, in order to get the Dodgers tickets, which he will give out, you have to generate a phone number and an email. And then they do the 2-step authentication to make sure that is a valid phone number and email. Yeah. And that's how they will then data mine. The other thing, one of the big things that they do is they actually host websites for brides. So they sit at all those bridal shows throughout LA and a couple of other, counties in California. And so when people are coming through, they'll say, hey, we'll host your website, Miss Bride, for your honeymoon, whatever it is they want, but you have to give us your information. And then they get, they just start data mining through that. Then they get the bridesmaids, they caught the thing. I mean, his job is nothing I would ever want to do, but it's very helpful for us.
I love it.
So
well, Crystal,
questions.
Thank you for, do you guys have any questions on this? I mean, I think we just need to get in there and start to play around with it because it sounds like we could be there's a lot of creative opportunities and but we really thank you for taking the time. Did you guys have any questions?
I'd just like to apologize for not taking advantage of this and all the emails like that you have sent me.
No, you know what though? Terrence, it's a great thing because I think the timing has to be right for these things. In the last couple of years, it's been busy. Nobody's had time to sit down and really evaluate.
That's kind of been more. That's my excuse. But it's like, it's and this has definitely been helpful. It's like, oh, why did you? Yeah, now I'm like, that's why I don't. It's not really feeling bad towards you. It's like maybe I feel bad towards myself. Like, why didn't you on this?
You know what? The people who are engaging this are crushing it. I have a client that is, I mean, specifically, she's a wholesaler, so she uses this to find the investment properties. And go, oh my God, she's opened 3 different deals with us. She just flipped her own in Woodinville. She's crushing it with this stuff, and it's like She has to drive around to find these, she'd have to get in her car, put her kids in, like drive around the neighborhoods, like scary neighborhoods, to find the deals. And she's killing it. She's been using about 6 months. And she's
and time is one of our most valuable assets, right? So it's like this really, I feel like we could zero in on exactly what we are interested in looking for, right? Whether it's for a buyer, whether it's to get sellers, whether it's just to build rapport in the neighborhoods you live in, whatever, you're bringing value. And this is just another really cool tool that I think that we are going to be excited to use in our arsenal. So,
well, and just that one last thing, you guys, remember, say we get into this, you guys get so busy, you get a million listings, you got buyers, and you haven't had time to dip back in, you can revisit in 6 months, in 3 months, in 2 weeks. And all that information is going to be fresh and it's going to live there. So you don't have to worry about, it'll just live there. So you guys have questions, you have my contact info. I appreciate being able to present for you guys, and
thank you.
Have a great weekend.
Awesome. Yeah, we appreciate it.
Crystal.
Yeah. And your email is crystal.heckendorf@tycortitle.com. So she's really easy to get a hold of, you guys. Very responsive, texts, emails, phone
whatever
calls.
you want. I'll answer to any of it. So
we appreciate you, Crystal. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're just gonna do our second little half of our presentation. So I really appreciate you.
Have a great day, Crystal.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. All right, guys. So what'd you think?
That was cool.
Sweet.
I think it's awesome. And I think, there's all sorts of, she just gave me all sorts of ideas to, of scripts and things and best practices that we could be doing. And I really like the idea of just getting to know the longstanding neighbors, because, they want to share their experience on, they're proud of where they live. Right. So I think it would be cool to do it within the neighborhood that you live in. So you kind of have that sense of community. So, when we're talking about, we went through this with circle prospecting, some of the keys to our success, obviously mindset and motivation, getting your mindset around that farm and what it is you're there to do, being very intentional with really bringing value, right? So heart of service. We've got more technology than we, know what to do with these days. But I think, getting that quality data and providing the scripts around that data, really practicing those and organizing your CRM with touch points to that farm. And so you really want to be consistent when it comes to that. Confidence and value. So we're bringing something, right? A tangible handout, something like, hey, I'm just showing the neighbors in, the neighborhood. Most neighbors are curious about the new homes coming in on market and what, that means for your home value. Very smooth, informative. We know the market stats, talking about those tested real estate time tested things, one of it was market stats. So if we can be the authority, we look like we're ready to go, right? So using this, teamwork, we talked about that, covering more ground, appealing to a wider variety of people, holding each other accountable, motivating each other through scripts and keeping it fun. I really think, Ashley and I, when we've been out there farming, it's way more fun to do with somebody else. By the way, if you're not connecting with me, you're probably going to connect with Ashley and vice versa. So get yourself an accountability partner and just go out there and have fun. So
you can hold their hand. It's okay.
Yeah. And hold your hand, swinging through. It's fun. So I was thinking, we go over just a couple scripts here, and these are effective scripts. And we talked about using social proof and permission-based marketing when we did Howard's class. So, this is what it would sound like. Hi, my name is Chris Fiamango. I'm with Madrona Group Real Estate. The reason why I'm knocking on your door is because I just listed your neighbor's home for sale right down the street. I wanted to give you information on the asking price, hand them the flyer. I am inviting all the neighbors to the open house for a special early entry from 12 to 1 on Saturday. You can kind of just check out all the work your neighbor did inside. So, hey, would it be okay to let you know what the house sells for when it closes? Most of your neighbors are curious. So how's that sound? So we're using social proof. We're using, most of your neighbors are curious. There's psychology around that. Like, oh, they are, maybe I should be curious. And then permission based, like, would it be okay? And that would it be okay? Like, it really does need to be a part of our everyday word track. So I think we talked about this one before, lost out on the house, right? So we can use those farming lists to potentially find homes for buyers that aren't on the market. So all those home addresses are not listed, right? So the ones that the Ticor Tech gives you are not listed. So, losing out on the house. Hey, we just offered on a home over there. I'm calling or I'm stopping by today. The reason why I'm knocking on your door is because I just wrote an offer on your neighbor's home, and you probably saw how busy it was over the weekend. I'm not sure. And this, in a more competitive market, this was a really good script, but you can also just kind of, you can give it a variety and just say, hey, we've been unable to find something that fits, all the boxes, and, saw your home and this is the neighborhood they want to live in, whatever you want to say. And then say, my buyers absolutely love this neighborhood. They want to live in this neighborhood really bad. So they asked me to go out and talk to homeowners around here and see if they know anybody who's interested in selling. So, and then you can follow it up with, so crazy question, would you consider selling for the right price, your price, if we give you plenty of time to find your next dream home? So you could not only get the listing there, or not even the listing, you get your buyers the home, and then you've created another buyer, right? Because where are they going to go? And you can be that real estate agent for them too. A couple other things. So this is the Circle Prospect Farm. Are you selling? Hi, my name is Chris Fiamango. I'm with Madrona Group Real Estate. Listen, just a minute of your time. We have sold a bunch of homes in your neighborhood, and we still have several buyers who haven't been able to find something to purchase. I wanted to see if you've thought about selling in the near future, or if you know anyone else who has. So, and then you could vary that up, because some people don't want to, they want to make it as soft as possible. Like, I'm not trying to say if you're selling your home, it's just, I wanted to know if you knew anyone in your neighborhood who was interested in selling. So make it a little bit softer, less pressure that way. And then I love this one too. So when we're knocking around neighborhoods and we don't really have a reason to go there, like we don't have an open house, we don't have really any buyers or anything there. Just, hey, my name is Chris Fiamango. I'm with the Madrona Group Real Estate. The reason why I'm knocking on your doors, I'm giving neighbors some info on recently sold homes in the neighborhood so far this year, this spring, this month, whatever you want to do. Hand them the list. Would it be okay to let you know, as new homes are coming on the market, what they're selling for? Most neighbors are curious.
Yeah, I mean, even if you remember those cookies that we had an abundance of, like we had something to give them, like I think that would be good for fall, like going door to door during kind of like the fall festivities, everybody's in a good mood, and hand them something like that, because who knows if we'll have a listing down the street, who knows?
Yeah, and it's so true. Like bringing them a gift, it's like and value around why you're knocking on their door. Because let's be honest, like, do we like it when people knock on our door? Heck no, right? So like, you better be there with a very fluid, confident gift. Like I want to know why you're there first and foremost, right? And everybody's put on alert when the door knock, who is that? Like, I'm not expecting anybody. So yeah, so you got to come, with that value and that, that heart of service and something. So a gift. So this is the GeoLead Circle Prospecting by Phone, Soft Sale and Relationship Building. This is from Ricky Caruth, and I do like Ricky. He has a very interesting approach. He's with Remax down in I believe in Alabama somewhere, but he's got this like Southern draw, and this really works very well. Plus, I don't know of like area to area, like if this would work well in like, say, New York. This is a little bit too, I feel, soft, but and it's also kind of like, hey, get to the point, right? But some people like this. So, you want to build a little bit rapport in the first part of the conversation, and however that means to you. And then you transition right into it. Like, hey, I don't want to take up too much of your time. Some houses are selling in your neighborhood, and I didn't know if there was anything I could, that I could do for you today. And that's his go-to script. Or you could follow it up like with the, hey, I didn't know if you knew anybody in this neighborhood that's interested in selling, or if there's anything that I could do for you. So, and then you just go through the rest of the script on this. This is more for phone calls. So if we can get a list of those phone numbers, I think that would be really great for those farms, and, just give them a call. So farming best practices, becoming irreplaceable. So we want to be the authority, we want to be the experts in the neighborhood, and we want to bring value. So the first thing you want to do is make sure you choose the right size of your farm. The right size of the farm is based on your specific time, which is most important, and money budget. They say, about $1 per home is pretty standard, and you can do with whatever you want with that. For instance, Ashley put together a really cool little spring gift package. It didn't cost us a lot of money, right? How much was each one of those packages? Maybe $1.
Maybe like $1.25.
Okay, so perfect, right within where you should be for your budget. And it was, just a little thing. Spring is here. It was some seed packets and a little bit of candies in our cards. So, just something simple. It doesn't have to be a lot of money. I'm thinking also like, what if we went to the dollar store and got like 50 things of bubbles, right? Like, here, have your kids blow bubbles or whatever. I mean, there's so many different ideas you could get, but make sure you have the right time and money budget to execute on it. So you're connecting through that value in your relationships, you're giving market stats, data, and you should be the expert. So the reason why I'm here is, and you're giving them a little bit of something. Get them to put their hand up through adding value up front. So we're becoming like, it becomes a pattern. The more consistent we do these farms, the more they think that, there's value around our presence there. So we're investing in them and their best interest up front. And it truly comes down to size or to intensity in which you do the farm, and not the size of the farm. I've heard several stories about like you have 2,500 people in your farm and I didn't get one deal, right? Or I have 150 and I got 8 of the last, 10 sales in that neighborhood. And that is just all based on delivery, value, how they perceive you. Are you honest and full of integrity? All those things that buyers and sellers want, that list from the National Association of Realtors. Like if we can hit those points and we're bringing value and we're intense about it and consistent. And so that's the next thing. Time budget all depends on you, but be consistent, be deliberate, and be frequent. And then borrow listings and create actionable marketing that makes people raise their hands. Like, hey, we don't have our own listing, but hey, Josiah is a great example. It's not our listing, but we reached out to the agent, said, hey, we really like this listing. We want to get it sold for other reasons, of course. But, would you mind if we did, an open house, right? So there's a perfect door knocking opportunity if you wanted to use it. But you're the authority. You are the person that is the listing agent in that market. So best practices. So we kind of went over this with the circle prospecting, and very important. So you want to kind of go sideways at the door, get back from the door, but have your name tag visible. You should be dressing nicely, hair done, all that, smile with confidence and generosity. Have a clear and confident delivery of the intro and the reason why you're there. So everybody, like I said, they're like, why are you at my door? So like, get that out of the way quickly. Close the gap with the gift or some kind of handout, and then ask for their name and email after scripts. Look down and not even back up. You're like, best email, great. Would it be okay if I stayed in touch with you on, some of the neighborhoods or some of the houses as they're coming on in the market? Okay, best email. And then you put it down. You're basically never looking back up at this point, and then thank them sincerely. So don't make your circle too large. There's some tips here. Don't overthink your circle. Prospecting scripts, just let it be natural, and more this will just flow, and it will be a really very fluid delivery. once you get that going, and get over your fear of door knocking. You're going to get some slams in the face. You're going to get some rude people. Just move on to the next, keep in your mind your motivation and why you're there. You're there to be of value. So those people are probably people you don't want to work with anyway. Understand the circle prospecting is not just about getting leads. It's about relationships, right? So the person who has the most relationships in any given market is usually the market leader. That's just a math game, basically.
Hey, Chris.
Yeah.
As far as like giving them something of value, like I watched a door knocking script by some guy, and he was like had a handful of listings. He just pulled off the MLS, thumbnail, right? Printed those up. Hey, here's some recently sold properties in the area, right?
Yeah.
So guy give them something of value or part of, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think don't you want to know what things are selling for in the neighborhood? That's a great way to do it, right? Even make like Terry, you're getting really good at Canva. Make a cool flyer, right? That has like the last 5 homes that were sold within a half-mile radius, and make it kind of nice and good graphic.
That's what I was thinking too, is like, because like the guy, this guy that I watched, he was like, he's got like printouts, right? It's like,
I don't like the way, does
Okay.
that feel like value?
I'm just saying, like, this is like his thing, right? So,
Yeah.
So it's like a short like intro and bio, and then like listings, like 2 pages maybe, or something like that, or maybe front and back, right?
Okay.
But I was saying, I was thinking it'd be, because like, well, if they're not home, right? I'm thinking more like door hangers, like if you have it in your budget, like you can hand that just like an open house door hanger, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Like kind of have that. If you've got that in your budget, and then if they're not home, it's going on there, and it's like, same as like a postcard that would have been mailed to them,
I love that idea, Terry.
Right.
I think, you could also, bear printing is actually very, very reasonable. You can get those done for like, I think 25 cents a pop. They come cut out and everything. You just need the time. So like a lot of times, like Ashley and I will be up against the clock, right? So those ones that we get at FedEx are way more expensive. But if you're deliberate and you have a little bit of time, meaning like 2 or 3 days, like it's not even that much lead time. You put together that cool door hanger, have 2 properties on the first side, and on the flip, 2 more properties, right, on the back side. And like, hey, this is just some recently sold, homes in your neighborhood. I just want to come and introduce myself and see, hey, would it be okay if I let you know what these homes are selling for as they come on the market? You know?
Yeah. And then if they're not home, you just leave it on the door. So that's perfect.
Boom. Yeah.
Right.
And you can also get those plastic wraps, and if it's raining or whatever, to kind of put them in, and then you can put your business card in there and, whatever else.
It's a whole little package. Yeah.
And I was thinking, it's something else to put on there, like, like you put link to your website and blah, 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 right? But it's like, so I've managed through some of consistency to do those market reports, monthly market reports. So like put a link to my YouTube channel. Right. It's like, hey, like I do monthly market reports, and if you want to know what's going on month in, month out, right? You can click on the link there and subscribe to the channel.
Or it would be kind of cool too to have a barcode where it says enter to win 2 tickets to the Mariners game, and in order for them to do that, they'd have to register on our home site, and then boom, you've got them in your
yeah, I love that.
And you can change it seasonally, like Seahawks, Mariners, I don't know, Teatros and Zani, something like that.
Yeah. And then did you guys also, this is just a little side note too on that, when we're putting these in the CRM, there's that registration tool on Sierra. So you could potentially use that, and it populates right to your CRM, right? So you're inputting it as you get it, and then boom, they're popping in the CRM, and you just tag it Mariners tickets, right? So these are the people that you're going to reach out to when you do the drawing. And like, really, honestly, what's 4 Mariners tickets? It's probably $100 if you get 300 level or something, so to get, potentially 1,000 contacts or more, who knows? for $100. Like, yeah, I want to be that guy. So, and it does, it makes you stand out from the crowd here. That's a perfect segue into this. It allows you to put yourself out there. So you're the first one that they think of. And that's the most important thing, because remember, we're talking about relationships, rapport building, and repetition. So we're being consistent and frequent, and we are the market leaders that way. The person who has the most amount of relationships has the most amount of market share. I already said that. So I'm going to keep beating on that drum. So just last but not least, before we head out, this is some of the stuff you want to email them on a schedule. So stay consistent, email weekly or bi-weekly with valuable content. That's if you're getting these emails, after they permission based, right? Said, okay, yeah, keep in touch with me. Visit them. I would say at least quarterly. Some people say monthly though, but have a reason, have a season or reason that you're stopping by. Yeah. Social proof and track record. So we want to use that social proof. Hey, most of your neighbors are curious. Show them what your clients are saying about you. Go over our team awards and accolades. No matter what your personal experience is, you can always use the power of the team, the Madrona Group, right? So, hey, we just listed. It doesn't matter if it's Jason Joe's listing. It doesn't matter if it's somebody else's listing from another firm. If it's another John L. Scott agent and you're doing the open house, hey, we just listed. Right. So use that accolades, that social proof again, target the neighborhoods that have a high turnover. The cool thing about that farming tool is, I don't know if you noticed, there was a turnover rate percentage.
Yeah.
Get that up to 6 to 7%.
Is that within a year?
I think they do it off 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah, but that just shows how often people are moving. The higher that number, the better. So
Right.
that turnover rate can be good. I was thinking also there's a sweet spot though, because if they're turning over, right, then they've already moved. So that goes into the data. So you want to be around, I think, 6 to 7%.
Yeah.
And that gives you that A rating too. So that's a really cool thing about that farming tool, is it will tell you exactly, how effective this is going to be.
Right.
And then educate to impress. So we're talking about market stats, knowledge, and that always is more impressive than anything. I think talking about relationships, talking about market stats, and our knowledge within our markets. So that's it.